Welcome back to Strength and Knowledge podcast. I'm Marshall Bennett. I'm here with the Three Stooges. My three best friends. We're here to talk about what we have learned in 2020. So, we'll just keep it starting off with Aaron every single time. So let's get rocking and rolling here, Aaron.
What have I learned in 2020? Yikes.
That is
big yikes.
That's the question.
Probably, there's not much in my brain, so I don't really know. I don't know. I mean, coming from, graduating as a GA, trying to find a job in the middle of a pandemic probably wasn't the most ideal situation. Been lucky enough to, like you guys said, back at the high school setting. So I guess a lot of things what I've learned, not only through, coming from the college setting where it's a little more, not necessarily time consuming, because I still work quite a bit, but I always tell people it's a little less stressful, even though I work out before the school days, I'm still there from 6 a.m., probably 6 p.m., 6:30-ish. So it might not be the 5 a.m. what we used to in college setting, like 5:30. I guess what I've learned so far is kind of just taking that step back. A lot of people say that way. It's been time to spend time with family, been time to spend with some friends, and I've been able to read a lot, and I'm not going to say it's a pandemic because it was not the pandemic what allowed me to read more. The high schools allowed us to have 30 minutes a day, what we have our students mandatory read. So I've been taking advantage of that time. That's really coming from my books. I've been diving a lot of books lately because that 30 minutes then before when I was traveling with our football team and our baseball team, that's where I kind of took advantage of the audiobooks. So I was able to crush a lot of the books this year on top of the audiobooks. And it just kind of opened up, kind of things what I like, not necessarily, I didn't really read that many in strength conditioning, probably like 3 or 4 books. A lot of it was business books. I've kind of realized Malcolm Gladwell's books I kind of been interested in just because it's kind of like, it makes you think in a little different way, kind of just the way the mind works and the way people actually think is kind of very interesting to me, not necessarily only strength conditioning. While I've been able to read some business books like Dave Ramsey or Chris Hogan's Everyday Millionaire, realizing I got a job, I'm growing up, I feel like I'm an adult now. It's like, as a GA or an intern, you don't really think about it because you weren't making any money. With $500 a month, as some of us were when we were in Iowa, it's like, well, we had enough to eat food and that's about it. If we wanted to go get drinks or if we wanted to get food, we would do it. But like, we didn't really, save, put some in our savings. We didn't, because it just wasn't enough. So now it's like, we're just figuring out what can I do now? Have some type of income now. It's like, well, I need to save, I need to invest, I need to do this, do that. I got to pay my loans, I got to pay my car payment. Like, wow, a lot of things I had no idea coming as a student, coming as an intern, coming as a GA even. I was lucky enough to have that paid for as a GA. Now it's like, well, I got to pay all this stuff. So a lot of it's just kind of life, what I've been learning in 2020. A lot of it's also the strength conditioning of coming from college to the high school, where it's like, hey, I'm going to try and stick to the basics with the strength conditioning, know what I know, I'm going to do what I do. And I'm going to keep learning, keep understanding stuff. But at the end of the day, I'm going to try and keep it as simple as I can, because at the end of the day, I mentioned a little bit in the previous episode, is a lot of these high school kids, you tell them one thing, goes right through their ear. So I'm trying to keep it as simple as I can to make my life easier and make their life easier, because at the end of the day, it's going to be 20, 30 kids in the weight room. And it's only going to be, if we're doing some complex thing, and I would love to have, my in-season, off-season, I could have different sports, do different things, but at the end of the day, to make my job easier and make my life easier, I have them very similar. I have a little tweaks, but it just kind of that learning curve of knowing that I can keep it simple and keep everything going the way I want to, but still have the unique twist of stuff what I've learned in 2020. stuff that I learned from all my other places, now taking it to the high school. I can still be unique. I still can have different twists in the program for my athletes, but I try and keep it as general and as simple as I can. So I guess, that's the stuff what I learned in 2020, just taking that step back, realizing, hey, I don't have to put all my effort in strength and conditioning. I don't have to think all about only strength and conditioning, which is tough because you guys know me. I love being the weight room. My hobby is lifting weights. Like, that's the thing what I love to do. So I realized, especially when the gyms closed, people talk about the gyms being mental health. I'm not very nice when I don't get to train. I'm not very friendly when I don't get to train. So I've been lucky enough when I have a garage gym. I'm lucky enough when I've been working at universities or at places where I'm able to go work out even in the middle of a pandemic, but kind of put that into my focus of, hey, maybe I don't need to take that hour and a half to lift. Maybe I can get all my stuff done in 45 minutes. Maybe I can get it done in an hour. But that's still working in progress because I do love to train. So maybe in 2021 I can learn how to only lift for 45 minutes, but I doubt it though.
No, probably not.
I'm too fat to my 3-minute rest break between an empty bar and 135. I need minimum 4 minutes to rest. My heartbeat's probably like 170. Mel, you know that feeling, right?
I mean, the other thing that you get mad about is when
somebody touches my bar.
Dude, yeah.
Don't touch his bar.
Yeah, don't touch my bar, Mel.
Don't touch his bar. Everybody knows
that. You learned that the hard way.
Yeah.
Okay, so you read a bunch of books. What were your 2 favorite non-strength and conditioning books, and what was your 1 favorite strength and conditioning book? Let's go check the stack.
You had to go check.
2 favorite. I set this one to Mellow, little Dave Ramsey. This was the kind of interested to me. Then I like this one because I was able to use it in purpose. Because, I like to break down my teams, and then, I talk to them. And this one kind of talks about, like, why do some ideas stick and some don't. And it keeps it very simple because it goes why it sticks. So, like, what sticks mean is as simple. You unexpected, not stick, but success. So uses a plan of success to make everything stick. So simple, unexpected, concrete, credibility, emotional, and stories. So that's something I've used to just talking to my athletes, talking to people too. But these are my 2 favorite. Then my favorite strength and conditioning one. I never read The System until this year. I know a lot of people read about The System with Johnny Parker. I never picked up a copy until this year, and I really did enjoy that one. Because I'm not necessarily a guy who does a lot of complexes and Olympic lifts, and I know a lot of his stuff or complexes, Olympic lifts will kind of just interest to me. So that'll be my favorite strength and conditioning one.
Fair enough. What about you, Marsh? What did you learn in 2020?
What did I learn? Well, you always go into this thinking that, I'm going to talk about this, I'm going to talk about that. And then, Aaron brought up some pretty valid points that, like, I think the biggest thing is being in.
Okay, so Marshall didn't learn anything in 2020.
I'm
just kidding.
Being in the private sector, it's like the best thing that I felt that we learned when we were in Iowa is that you get a touch of, like, the political side of things, where you have to learn how to talk to the coaches, talk to AD, and make sure that everyone's happy, even though, like, you want to do things your way, but it's not possible, right? You're an extension to all the coaches. You have to do what they want to do, etc. And then you go to the private sector where, you have these politics in the back of your head that you're kind of used to talking to coaches and whatnot. But now it's like, you got to talk to parents, you got to sell yourself, which is really weird. And it's talk about stress. I think that's probably the most stressful thing is, like, you don't think about that business aspect of things that we kind of take for granted in the high school and college setting, because we get the kids handed to us, right? So it's easier in that sense, because the number one thing that you see throughout the spectrum is consistency, right? We saw that when we were in Pella. We thought if the kids were more consistent, we would do way more work with them, we could do so much better things. But like the same thing happens in the private sector where, you know, you have to be super nice and make sure everybody likes you sort of thing. But then like the business side of things where you have to like go into meetings and kind of figure out, you know, budgets and all that kind of stuff where you're kind of more in depth with all that kind of stuff. I mean, I don't know. I think it's been a lot of fun. It's been rewarding, but it's also been very stressful in that sense because it's like a whole new door is open. You got to learn everything that's in that door. Um, you know, I think the other thing that I learned was, you know, credit to Aaron for giving me the book, but, you know, pay off your debts and save all your money while you're young and, you know, live a happy life later on where you don't have to worry about work. You know, I mean, that's a pretty good move right there. Trying to think what else I've learned, you know, it's just been a busy year, just trying to, you know, for the listeners out there, you know, the people that want to listen in to what we got to say.
Did you learn anything from the pro gamers you trained? Because your Fortnite skills are not doing too good this year.
You know, the gamers they're just something else. But I mean, what was I gonna say before I got rudely interrupted?
Which time?
I'm sorry, what you're not good at Fortnite.
I mean, I was trash. You're right. What was I gonna say?
We have video evidence now.
True. Now, what did you take away from your quarantine? Because you guys weren't working for what, a month? What did you and the wife do? Did you guys go for your walks? You know, what did you guys learn?
You know, I think the biggest thing I learned during that time was routine. Once you get into a routine, everything just makes it so much easier. Like every morning we woke up, we went on this walk. It was like a nice little area over here with these big ass houses where you can kind of have some like visualization where, you know, where you want to see yourself in the next couple of years and stuff like that. Working out wise, you know, I'm in a apartment, don't have a garage. I don't have, you know, barbell or anything. I just have bands, and being creative with what I had was really what it came down to. And then changing up the scenery, we'd go out to parks and, you know, use the equipment there the best that we can to do, you know, inverted rows with bars that are just there by the fence or, you know, elevated push-ups, anything along those lines, but mostly band work. And it's kind of probably frustrating for like my boss to see me use bands instead of like cables when I could do the same exercise on a cable that I'm using a band for. But it's like, you know, you use what you have, you kind of get good at that kind of stuff. So it's like YTAs and stuff like that. He likes to do body weight or use dumbbells or weights. And, you know, I use bands still doing YTAs with the bands, you know, and I think that's like, you get creative, but then you kind of get stuck in your way in a way that it's like, okay, what else can I start doing? What can I start utilizing cables instead of bands or vice versa or whatever the case may be. But I mean, you're right though. I mean, we were out for like 2 months at least, I think. I mean, that was the one thing that I thought was pretty big to you. It's like, you know, you see a lot of job cuts going on in the college sector and all this stuff. And during all that time, like you literally got a job, you know, like, how does something like that happen when all these other, you know, budget cuts are happening and they're trying to get
bench a lot?
That is probably what the interview came down to. Is just how many times can you hit 225? And you said
a lot.
Oh my God.
But I mean, it's been a unique year to say the least. And I mean, the last thing I'd probably talk about is, you know, Aaron makes jokes all the time that, you know, I'm a babysitter when it comes to some other pro athletes. But I mean, you know, some of the freshmen that we get from, you know, pro teams, yeah, we kind of have to follow their guidelines and what they want to do with them and whatnot. But the very interesting one is probably, you know, when teams get like a tryout, like they need a corner, you know, they'll fly out 2 or 3 guys to try out and see which one they want to sign. And I mean, that's pretty interesting because they have to come out here. They're out here for 4 days. They can't go onto the campus until the 5th day because they have to go through COVID testing and all that. So they're stuck in their room, but they give them access to us to come work out, take them through like a dynamic warm up, a little lift and stuff like that. But I mean, that's a pretty unique experience too. You get to meet all these, you know, guys that are trying to make a break. And, you know, the punter that they ended up signing, he never had an NFL start, never played in the NFL. He played some ball in the XFL, and, you know, he was happy, you know, he thought he did it. And like him getting a workout by a team, he thought that was, the highlight of his life. And now just today he was punting for him still. Like, he gets signed. It's a pretty big deal. And it's just pretty cool to get those one-on-one interactions with these guys that had just been grinding. And I mean, when they talk about the grind, it makes me think about our grind that we had to go through, basically hell and back all those years of just doing free internships, all those hours, and trying to get to where we are now. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
What about you, Sam? What have you learned?
Hit us with the knowledge.
What?
Hit us with the knowledge.
With the knowledge. I've learned.
Hit them with that website too. Hit them with that website. Hit them with that website off the bat.
I mean, Sam, you've learned the most out of all of us, for sure.
I've learned a lot about other things that aren't necessarily strength and conditioning, because the pandemic has affected me a little bit differently than you guys, where I'm back at home right now. Pretty much the website is my full-time job. Learning how to make the website better. It's sisyphus-training.com, by the way. It's learning how to make the website better is pretty much what I do 8-10 hours a day, like all of my free time. I play video games sometimes with you guys, like when.
Well, with me, not with Marshall.
Well, yeah. but that's pretty much my full-time thing right now, because at the beginning of the year, when COVID struck, it was right around March when I came back home for kind of the isolation thing, and I was programming and basically doing remote coaching for all my athletes, and it was tough, and that kind of forced me to get better at communication, programming, descriptive stuff. Keep it as simple, like you said, Aaron, because I've never been good at talking during a Zoom call or on the phone or anything like that. I'm about as smooth as sandpaper when it comes to that kind of stuff. So that's
pretty smooth, actually.
Not smooth sandpaper, the rough sandpaper.
It's
then.
Pretty smooth.
Good one, Aaron. That was good.
Anyway, yeah, I came back and I had to send out programs every single week. I was making sure I was texting athletes, having Zoom meetings with their coaches, having Zoom meetings with the whole team, just like making sure that I was reaching out, communicating as best as I could, making sure people were following along, or if they weren't following along, that they were at least doing something active, something to keep them not, moving forward, not sitting around and getting worse. So during that time, right around March-ish, I started diving into coding and a little bit of website design stuff, because that's supposed to be on the easier side of coding. It's not even really coding for some of the stuff for web design, or web development and design, stuff like that. So I took a bunch of classes. I'm still taking classes. I got a couple certifications in like web design, stuff like that. And pretty much the whole thing that's bringing it all together is the website, sisyphus-training.com, is because I'm able to have a little bit further reach than I've ever been able to have. And so that's good and bad, because now good because there's the potential that I can reach limitless amount of people just by going to the website, reading what I had or what I put up there. But it's also can be on the difficult side, because if I say something or if I write something on the website and it's not clear enough, then someone may not reach out with questions. I don't have that ability to text anyone who goes to the website to say like, hey, what are you missing on this? What do we need to do more of? Everything like that. I try to make it all encompassing, but still simple, which is a really tough balance. It's a tightrope where it's like, now moving forward, we're going to start going into that kind of return to the weight room type program, where right now we have pretty much just the at-home training program where it's mostly body weight stuff and improvised weights and everything like that, trying to help people build their own program in case they don't have a strength coach, they don't have a personal trainer or someone like that, they don't want to go to the gym, they don't want to, you know, be around people and get exposed or something like that. So it's been nice to be able to have the potential for a little bit more outreach. It's still a young website, so it's like, who knows how it's going to go, but hopefully expanding on it, continuing to take these classes I've been taking is going to kind of be able to build it up and make it a lot more professional than it is now, and be able to make it better and better and better, and hopefully reach out to more people for it. And that's the goal right now, is just learn as much as I can still about web development, web design, everything like that. Get into some other coding, some JavaScript, and everything that I need for the front end, back end side of the website, and that's pretty much where I'm at now. That's the majority that I've learned has been a lot of computer work, a lot of tech work, and yeah, it kind of plays into a little bit more of what you said, Aaron, where you're able to spend more time with your family and have a little bit more downtime away from work. I've never really been in the position at the places I've been to be able to see family or spend time with anyone or any of my family. So it's like being back here has been nice on that side, where I've been able to enjoy that, where I haven't really been able to for however many years now. So that's been nice. We're fortunate enough to have, you know, a squat rack, a bar, some weight in the basement. Just got some bands in not too long ago, so I can still train as heavy as what we have, but it's been nice. It's been nicer than what I would have hoped for. So that's pretty much sums up everything that I've learned in 2020.